Have you ever started tracking your calories and hated it? In this video, I want to go through some things to focus on other than calories that will empower you to get in the driver's seat of your diet. My name is Jeff Lawrence and I'm a hypnotherapist, trainer and coach who specializes in helping people lose weight for life. In this video, we're going to go through some ideas for you to implement that will change your weight. Pick the low-hanging fruit first, meaning the things you hear that seem simple and easy to do for now and don't make you cringe with self-doubt. Then, when you feel inspired to apply another idea, play with the next one that you feel would make a difference for you. Implement and do more of what works and throw out what doesn't. So stick around to hear them. You never know which one will work for you. Let's get into it. Starting with time. There's always been the classic considerations of how much you eat and what you eat, which both mitigate primarily the calories in. But now recently, meaning in the last decade or so, there's been a big shift to managing when you eat, which, as it turns out, has an influence on the calories out. When you time your eating well, the processing of specific meals you eat and your metabolism in general are enhanced. And it also helps manage calories in because it makes it easier to eat less since you have less time to. So some basic ideas on when are to get the gap between food and bed as large as possible. 4 hours or more is best. Another thing here is to limit the time you eat, like a 16-hour fasting and an 8-hour eating window each day. Look, there are many ways to do this called intermittent fasting that you can look up online, but just going over the principles of it here. Being intentional about holding a fasting window open can be very valuable for making sure the body is familiar with using fat as energy. Because when someone never lets themselves be hungry, their body forgets how to burn fat well. And it allows the body to focus on other systems, such as the immune system, rather than just the digestive system hogging all the resources. Cut out processed food, especially sugar, and eat more nature-made foods. Processed foods mess with your hormones, affecting your calories out. By slowing your metabolism, storing fat, and reducing your energy. By doing even just this, you will feel fuller, so automatically inclined to eat less. By process, we mean, in simple terms, anything that was processed by a factory. If it's in a packet, a can, or some other package, it has had to have a process done to it to preserve it longer so it doesn't go off. Bacteria feeds off nutrition like any other living organism. So to prevent it going off, the nutrition is drained out of it and chemicals to preserve it longer are put into it. And that process makes it empty of nutrition but still full of calories. And this is one of the reasons why you eat lots of it and you can still be hungry. Your body wasn't nourished. You're still hungry for nutrition. Processed sugar, salt, and fat are pumped into it to trick your taste buds into believing it's full of good value, and it stimulates your brain chemicals into feeling like you're getting a wonderful meal. But in reality, your body now has the task of trying to turn this phantom food into something usable. Luckily, our bodies are intelligent enough to transform this junk into usable material, but it comes at a cost to our health and our metabolism over the long term. And the immediate short-term cost is that your metabolism has to slow down to do this work. And that's why you feel sluggish and slowed down after a heavily processed meal. And I say sugar especially because of the insulin effect. When you eat sugar, your body produces insulin, which stores fat. So the more sugar in a meal, the more fat gets stored. And when those calories get quickly shuttled off into your fat stores, they aren't immediately available for energy. So you'll feel sluggish and hungry, leading you to eat more. When you eat food nature made, it's more nutritious and fills you up on less calories by default. Next up is portions. So if you're not tracking your calories, Or if you are and it just doesn't seem to be working, then simply reducing the portion sizes will definitely make a difference. A very simple but not necessarily easy approach to weight loss that would work is to not change anything about your diet except to halve everything. Think about everything you ate last week. Now, imagine that you got halfway through each meal or snack and you just threw the other half in the bin. I can guarantee you that you would have lost weight this week. And look, I say half just to make the point here, but depending on how much you typically overeat, it may only be a third or a quarter less. Now, any less will definitely lead to less weight gain and ideally weight loss. If a quarter doesn't create a loss, cut it down to a third, if not to a half. And at some point, no matter what you're eating, shifting the portion will definitely shed the weight. Okay, now let's get into more specific techniques that will help you shed those pounds naturally. And keep watching all the way through. Any one of them might be the key that changes the whole game for you. Now, on to the more specific techniques. So, first one is water consumption. I've done another video going into more depth about this one, but just quickly here, more water in your system makes you feel fuller for longer, gives you more energy, tunes up your metabolism, helps burn the fat, and is the most important substance for health. When your stomach is full of water and you feel good, you're much less likely to eat poorly. The next technique I call at least some value. This is where you choose to only eat what at least has some value rather than none. When you're in a situation where there are really no good choices. Now, obviously, the healthier and lower calorie foods are going to be better for your weight loss and make you feel better. And when you have more energy and enthusiasm, you're more likely to do more activity and make better choices. It will also empower your metabolism to function at its highest potential. So, a real world example of this would be when you go out and end up at McDonald's, say, and you only eat the burger and not the chips or soft drink. You're inevitably going to end up in situations where you don't have many, if any, healthy options. But making the best of it and not feeling like you can't function in these situations is the best for long term engagement with a better diet. It may not seem like a massive difference at the time, but it makes a huge impact over the long term. Not only to how many calories you consume, but more importantly, to how much you feel like you're winning at this game, which is super important to making sure you stay in the game. Next one is to substitute bad foods. The best way to make sure this happens is to pre-decide your substitute. For example, have a protein bar instead of a Mars bar, or an apple instead of candy, or a protein shake instead of ice cream. If something doesn't quickly and easily come to mind when you aren't craving something, you have no chance when you're really craving your favorite vice. Next is eat all protein first. Protein makes you feel fuller. It increases the production of the peptide YY, a gut hormone that makes you feel full and satisfied. Higher protein intake also decreases the levels of ghrelin, the hunger hormone, and it also increases your metabolic rate after eating and during sleep. Once you've eaten the protein and had all the effects that take place, you're less likely to overeat because you don't have to fight yourself as much. It's not that you won't overeat, just because it's there, you might still do it, but at least you put yourself in a more empowered place to make better choices. This next one I call bite and wait. When you're super hungry, have a bite of something and wait. It takes about 20 minutes for your body to start digesting the food and send the signal to your brain about how full you are. Your stomach is only about the size of your fist, so in reality, it gets extremely full with only a little amount. And once something is in there, any cravings subside and you're not so driven to overconsume. If you think about it, it's only in the first 20 to 30-minute window that people tend to overeat. So, taking this knowledge into account, you can make a rule that you never get seconds until 20 minutes after you've started eating, at the very least. And that way, you will significantly reduce mindless eating. Next one is to never be full. If you feel full, you have overeaten. The advice is to never be more than 80% full. So eat to satisfaction, not to indulgence. This can mean only eating half of your serving, saving it for later or just throwing it out. Ultimately, it's going to end up as waste in the bin or in the sewers, right? So better it just goes straight into the waste bin than through you and into the waste systems. One way you get fat, the other you don't. To properly perceive your satiety, you'll have to slow down your eating to recognize the signals, as we just discussed. Next is chew more times. There's a dieting approach I heard of once that only has one instruction. Chew your food 40 times each mouthful. Truthfully, I always found this one difficult to do. The food always seemed to be gone before the 40th chew, but you get it in principle from what we've been discussing. The longer it takes you to eat it, the less inclined you'll be to keep eating. So 20 or 30 still ends up achieving the goal. Also, I think this one allows you to savor the taste more, so you get to enjoy each bite more than just smashing it down and craving the next bite before you've even finished the last. And the last one for today is to increase your fiber. High fiber foods not only provide volume, but they also tend to expand in your stomach and also take longer to digest, making you feel full longer on fewer calories. To wrap up, I'll say nothing is free in this life. If you want to feel good, you have to work for it. If you want to lose weight, you'll have to implement something. Not everything, but something. And these are some great ways to shift yourself into a new mode of healthy living and weight loss that are absolutely doable for everyone in various ways that will make a difference for a lifetime. These techniques are going to create the side effect of eating less, and ultimately it is going to come down to less calories being consumed than used. These ideas can help get you some momentum and are great principles that can underpin your habits around food that will serve your weight loss and body transformation goals well. So there you have it, factors to watch out for other than calories. But if you watch your calories on top of that, you can be sure you will lose the weight you desire. And while you're at it, follow along and subscribe to the channel where we apply psychological principles to losing weight so you can change your body shape and change your life. Let me know in the comments below any ideas or approaches that had a meaningful impact on your dieting experience that others could benefit from also. Like and also share this video with someone you think might benefit from hearing this approach. It could make a world of difference to them, and I would absolutely appreciate it. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.